Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Thanks for coming and doing this video.
Thanks for having me.
This is our first time meeting everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to YouTube land. You can say
Hello,
hi to
YouTube
everybody.
land. Hi, everybody.
I will link everybody to Kelly's information, website, Instagram, all of that fun stuff so you can check her out.
Check me out.
That's right. What do you want to do with your makeup today?
Well, I was thinking it's the month of October, which is Libra season.
I'm a Libra.
I'm a Libra too! Yeah! What's your birthday?
October 13th.
October 11th.
Oh,
We're
my
super
God.
close. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I never really glam myself up because I'm always doing everybody else's makeup. So
Right.
I have like my go-to makeup routine. And then if I do my makeup, it's usually like a Marilyn Monroe with a winged liner and a red lip.
Yes,
Like that's
yes,
my
yes,
go-to
yes,
thing.
I love that.
I'm really loving the gold sparkly eyelids and the amber crease.
Ooh,
like
do you have
a nice
pictures to show me with you?
don't.
Okay, so we'll just get creative.
Well, I
with
do.
it.
I was looking at some, but like nothing that I really liked. So
Okay.
I figured I'd just leave it up to like your
Oh,
artistic
perfect.
abilities.
Okay, so we like
and-
golden amber tones, little warm
Yeah,
tone on the
something
eye,
warm.
a false lash, of course. Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Are there things about? Have you had your makeup done like this in the past? Things that
No,
you've liked?
never.
Is it- No. Okay.
I've had my makeup done professionally twice in my life.
Okay.
And
That's 2 more times than me.
the first one I looked like a porcelain doll, and it was like a lot.
Yeah.
And you could probably guess where I got my makeup.
we won't say it.
You don't have to put that in there. But it's yeah.
Tell me things that you want to see on your skin. Are you into
Yeah,
foundation? Do
I
you
already
want like
thought
a
about
beautiful?
that too.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so for my skin, I want to try different things, right? So that I usually don't do it myself because I used to be really creative, you know, when you're like just starting out with makeup and you try everything in the book and you're like, oh, I'm wearing a yellow shirt today. I'm going to do yellow eyeshadow.
That's
like,
me. Pink,
yeah,
pink,
exactly.
yeah,
like recently, it's usually just very natural and I never do a dewy skin. I always have a mineral powder that I put on top. So I would like to see a nice moisturized,
Dewy
luminous,
skin,
dewy
a little bit
look.
of coverage, not too heavy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you find yourself more dry?
Dry.
Dehydrated? Okay.
Yeah.
Flaky dry or just tight dry?
Just tight dry.
Tight dry.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything's flaky, it's usually like around the nose.
Okay.
And that's about it.
And what do you hate in terms of makeup on yourself? Or you're just pretty open?
I'm really open.
Yeah, you
you
seem
can do whatever you want.
Okay,
like
perfect.
in terms of
Okay, awesome. Let's
go.
Kelly, fabulous on camera, girl. Jeez, your energy is like really great. Here is Kelly's before photo. So you heard what she requested in our mini client consult at the beginning of this video. I want to talk about that, and then I also want to talk about a few things that were mentioned off camera so you can better understand how I put together this look. So Kelly requested a gold and amber eyeshadow look. We looked at some of my eyeshadow palettes and we decided to go with the Viseart Theory palette in Siren, so I'll be working with that on her eyes today. It's something that she was drawn to, and I think because of the texture and the pigment in the shadow, it's gonna look really great on her eyes, so that's what we're gonna be applying today. The other thing that Kelly mentioned a couple times when it comes to her eye makeup were the words sparkle and glitter. So I asked if we could maybe use a little bit of the Lemonhead Space Paste. It's a really sort of thicker glittery gel. I absolutely love this product, and I'm gonna show you how I incorporate this type of product into this look. It was something that she loved right away, so I definitely wanted to use it. And to balance out the look, I suggested a false lash. I'm gonna be using one of the lashes from the Velour Effortless collection, and the reason I'm choosing that lash is because we are keeping the skin so natural. I didn't want to pile on a really heavy, thick lash with a very natural, dewy skin. So the lash I'm going to be using is Would I Lie from the Velour Effortless collection. It's a more natural lash. It will just be enough to sort of bump up the eye makeup. It's not going to overpower the entire look. Now getting back to Kelly's skin, Kelly asked for a very natural, dewy skin with a lot of glow, so that's what I'm going to give her. She has beautiful skin, so this should be really easy to execute. If we look at Kelly's eyes, you can see that she's naturally got a darker eyelid and a bit of a darker under eye area. Now because she did request a more natural looking skin, I'm not going to be able to pile on concealer and corrector to fix all this, so I have to find a way to do this naturally so it looks balanced with the rest of the foundation application. With the heavier eye makeup looks, I usually like to decide how much concealer I'm going to be using after I finish the eye makeup. Sometimes when there is shadow underneath the eyes, there's really no point in concealing because the shadow is kind of going to naturally eliminate the look of that under eye circle or that darkness under the eyes. So once we get to that point, I will show you what I decide to do with the concealer to make sure that we don't have this heavy coverage under the eye and then a beautiful dewy skin on the rest of the face. Sometimes that can look unusual and we definitely want to avoid that. Kelly also mentioned that she likes to keep her brows natural, which I think is great. I think it's gonna work for this look. They have a really nice shape, so I'm probably gonna brush them out a bit just to make them appear a little bit fuller, and I won't overfill them in because brows are something that, as you know, clients are very particular about, so you don't really wanna overstep in terms of how you are doing your client's brows, especially if they ask them to be natural, so you'll be able to see how I execute that. As far as the lip color goes, you guys know me, I love a nude lip. Kelly has beautiful pigment in her lips, so usually with a client like this, unless they suggest a specific lip color with a heavier eye, I will go with something that they're comfortable with, which usually is a nude. One last thing I wanted to mention before we start the makeup application, I left the sound on because Kelly was asking about the MAC face and body, which we're using for this look, and I want you to hear the conversation that we had about it, how to apply it, and a couple suggestions and tricks that I have. Kelly came to set with her skin already moisturized, but I noticed there were a few areas that were feeling a little bit dry and tight, so I'm going in with the Skin Food on a synthetic brush. It's a Real Techniques brush. I'm applying a little bit with the brush, and then I'm going to press it in. The Skin Food itself, when it's on the skin, it hydrates and it creates this nice glow on the skin. It's the perfect base to create a very dewy, glowy skin, especially if you're using a lighter, more natural foundation. We're gonna do MAC Face and Body C3 Smith 115 brush, and we'll see how we do with this.
Is this your first time using Smith brushes?
It's my third or fourth time now.
Okay.
So this is C3, and I'm gonna mix in a little C1 on your skin too. MAC Face and Body is much more fluid. It starts off way more fluid on the skin. Base Atelier has a little bit more coverage. The actual chemical component of the two are a little bit different.
Yeah.
There is a trick to use Face and Body that I'm not doing right now. You can give it tack by either massaging it in with your fingers, and you'll feel it on your skin get tacky.
Okay.
You can feel it like start to pull a little.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna actually feel like the difference.
Can feel it tack like this when you
because like it's so much lighter with the brush.
Yeah. So you can actually feel it start to get a little bit tacky. You can do this in the palm of your hands too, where you squirt a bunch, and then you can tack it up in between your palms and then apply it that way.
Oh, nice. So that's if you want more coverage?
That's if you want a little bit more coverage and it's not as fluid, but on its own, you can just put it on like how I'm applying it, like this, and you can just buff it into the skin.
Feels so good.
So you can do a combo finger brush application. It responds well to buffing too, or like pulling. The longevity is great. I'm just going to put a little bit on your eyelids. The longevity is great. You can easily, on a full day, no problem. You can build coverage where you need to. It's more or less self-setting, so I can just leave it like this and you can go. Or you can powder down. Yeah. And then if you do want to layer coverage, you let it self-set and then you just go back in. Now I'm applying some of the Face and Body in C6 just to create that dimension. You've seen me do this technique in a number of my other application videos. Now I'm going to prep the eye. Now, as I mentioned, Kelly's eye has a little bit of darkness on the eyelid and under the eye area. You can see that the MAC Face and Body took care of that, and it gave us just a nice base to start with. I'm taking the MAC Prep and Prime. I think it's a 24-hour Extend Eye Base. I should know the name by now because I use it all the time. I really want the gold shadow to grab and the amber color to grab onto this eye makeup look, so I'm going to start with a primer for sure in this case. Moving on to the brows, you know I love to use the Anastasia Brow Primer. It gives me a nice base for the brow powder duo, and it also gives me a bit of control as well when I brush it into place. Next, I'm going to fill in the brows. I'm using Anastasia Brow Powder Duo in Taupe and the Smith 205 brush. This is my first video using the Smith brushes. I love so many of these brushes already. This angled brush is just perfect for brows. It's perfect for eyeliner. It's perfect for so many different things. It's so fine, and you can get in there and do a really beautiful detailed brow. When I do these shimmery looks, I do like to layer the color onto the lid, and because Kelly asked for gold, I want to make sure that she gets gold. I'm using a Smith 235 brush, the gold shimmer from this Viseart palette. I'm pressing it onto the center of the eye. Because her eyes are deep set, I need to really bring out that center portion so her eyes look nice and big and you can see that gold shadow. Now that I've laid down that gold shadow, I'm going to go over it with a sort of nude shadow from the Stilazzi palette. I'm pressing that in all over the lid. This is acting now as my base shadow. You can see the gold shadow that I put down originally still peeks through, so it's just creating that layered effect, which I love to do for these types of eye makeup looks. I love layering, I love blending, and so you'll see a lot of this happening, especially with this look, and we have to make sure that everything goes on smoothly on the lid, especially when we're using these richer tones. Back to this Viseart palette. So I'm using this color that's sort of this warm amber. It's something that Kelly loved. So I'm going to be very cautious to work that into the outer corner and the lower lash line. These colors are very pigmented, which is why we have the base shadow, just to make sure that everything can go on smoothly and you're not spending a ton of time blending out the shadow. Again, heavily pigmented shadows, you can see how easily this goes on. They can be difficult to work with if you apply too much or if they stick to a lid that hasn't been set properly. I'm going in with a deeper brown shadow now, just in that outer corner. As I mentioned, Kelly does have deeper set eyes, so I need to leave the center of that eyelid nice and light and bright so it doesn't close her eyes anymore. I want her eyes to be the focus of this look, and I want to make sure we can still see that gold. As I build this look and as the shadows go on, I'm just making sure to blend everything really beautifully. This Smith 122 brush is perfect for that. I'm just blending those outer edges of the eye makeup. It's something that you're gonna see me do. I apply, I blend, I reapply, I layer. That's how I create these more dramatic eye makeup looks. Now that I've created some shape and definition on the eye with that amber color and those dark browns, I'm going in with another layer of gold using the same Smith 235 brush, just really pressing it onto the eyelid to make sure that gold stays metallic and it pops in the center of the lid. And it's something that is visible and that Kelly is going to be able to see when she looks in the mirror, because it is something that she requested, and I know it's something that she's going to want to see in her eye makeup look. Cleaning up the under eye area with the Bioderma micellar water, one of my favorite things to do. It's so satisfying to clean up that shadow. You can at this point just shape that outer corner of the eye makeup look if you need to have more of a cat eye, if you need to make it more precise, or if you need to keep it smokier and more round. You don't have to clean it up as much, but you can definitely do that easily, and that will help with the rest of the eye makeup application. Now I'm switching to using the MAC Semi-Sweet x9 palette. The reason I'm going back to the shadow is because I just like this color and I know it's going to work with this eye makeup look, and I just want to make sure that everything is blended. So I'm going in with just a small shadow brush from Sephora, just a little detail brush to go in and make sure everything's pressed in and smoothed out along that lash line and in the outer corner of the eye. Now I'm taking one of the Nude Sticks Magnetic Matte Eye Colors in Chocolate. It's a very deep, rich brown. I'm taking it off the palette on a MAC brush, and I am smudging it and pressing it onto the lash line. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to create a backdrop, so when I take the lemon head glitter and apply it onto the lash line, it really pops and it creates that nice contrast so we can see that beautiful glitter. Black would have been too harsh, so I chose to go with a brown. Applying some mascara, just using L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black on a disposable mascara wand. I've used this mascara in my kit for years. It gives nice depth, darkness dimension, and makes the lashes a little bit fuller. I'm only doing one coat here because I'm going over with a velour lash, of course, so I don't want the natural lashes looking too chunky. Because Kelly has these really blonde lashes, I'm just taking an angle brush with a black eyeshadow from Urban Decay, pressing it into the lash line to make sure there is no gap in color when I apply the false lash. Kelly is used to seeing her eyes lined in the waterline, so I'm taking that nice fat pencil. It's very creamy and smooth, and I'm applying this in the waterline. It's very comfortable for your clients. I made sure to ask Kelly if she was comfortable with it. It's not a sharp, tiny pencil, so it goes on beautifully, and this stuff stays in the waterline for quite some time, and it's one of my products that's definitely a new kit favorite for me. Then I'm gonna take a Q-tip with some remover on it and just clean up that lower lash line. Moving on to the lashes, I'm using a lash style called Would I Lie from Velour Lashes. This could be, I think, one of my all-time favorite lashes from Velour. From the Effortless collection, it is a shorter lash. You do not need to trim. I did not do any trimming whatsoever. I'm using their latex-free white lash glue on this lash. Dries nice and clear. It's a flared lash. It's shorter. It's perfect and easy to use and very comfortable for your clients to wear. So I easily pop those on. They look great. They're not overpowering the eye makeup look. I like to use the Velour Too Easy lash applicator as well, just to adjust to make sure those corners are down and that lash is pressed right into the lash line. You can see how gorgeous these lashes are. They pop right into the lash line. They're pretty much undetectable. They look seamless and they're very comfortable to wear. I'm going in with just a bit more of the skin food. I looked at her skin and I can tell that her skin just drank it up. So I'm applying some more just on the tops of the cheeks and around the nose. She mentioned that her skin can get dry and flaky, so I want to make sure that this doesn't happen, especially since we're going for a dewy look. Continuing the foundation application with the Smith 115, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite foundation brushes. I'm using MAC Face and Body in C1 and C3, just a combination of the two colors, keeping it lighter in the center of the face and mixing more of that C3 in on the perimeter of her face. You can see I'm just pulling the foundation almost as I apply. It looks a bit more aggressive than it feels, but this is just a great way and an easy way to get on the MAC Face and Body, which can be very fluid if you don't tack it up when applying it onto the skin. I'm now taking the Smith 104 brush and I'm using MAC Face and Body in C6, so I'm back to the C6. I'm using this to create and sculpt the face just really naturally and subtly. I do this in a lot of looks where I am keeping the skin natural. I do find that you need that dimension so the skin doesn't look flat, and I don't want to go in with heavy creams and powders, especially when Kelly requested that her skin look natural and dewy. So this is how I create that dimension and definition. I might go back in and add more, but this is how I started out. I'm building up coverage under the eye. I've taken MAC concealer here in NC30 and NC35 just off the back of my hand, and I'm just slowly, gradually going up to the lash line with a very light touch so that the skin still remains looking natural and the under eye area does not get cakey. I'm going to set the under eye area with RCMA No Color Powder. I'm using this larger natural Stilazzi brush to press in the setting powder under the eye, just being very cautious of how much product I'm using in this area, pressing that in, setting the concealer, but making sure that it doesn't look too powdery. And then taking the MAC 224 just to ensure that I can press in the setting powder and it gets right up under the eye. So you'll see me switch between a larger brush and a smaller brush for this under eye area. It's just really my insurance policy. I do want to make sure that the under eye area is set. I want to make sure that right under the lash line the concealer is set so it doesn't smear the eye makeup. So I do this with a smaller brush, and then I also take that small brush and just set a few areas on the face with the same RCMA No Color Powder. I wanted to go in with just some more sculpting on the cheek, so I'm using the RCMA Cream Contour in S1 and this Smith 124 brush, which I absolutely love. It's the perfect size to sculpt the cheeks. Because the eye is so dramatic, I wanted to make sure there was balance on the rest of the face, and I'm using the RCMA because it does look so natural on the skin when you buff it in. MAC Mineralized Powder in Dark, sort of using this as a bronzer and also just going over where I sculpted the cheeks. The mineralized powder has a more natural finish, so again, nothing too matte, nothing too heavy on the skin. Mixing RCMA Cream Blush and Benefit Watts Up Highlighter. This is one of my favorite tricks and techniques to do for my clients who ask for a dewy skin. The RCMA Cream Blush is really pigmented. The Benefit Watts Up Cream Highlighter sets to a powder finish. So this can give you that dewy skin and it will stay on for a longer period of time, as opposed to using something that's more greasy and maybe doesn't dry to a powder finish. The Benefit's perfect for that. So I'm just going in and highlighting those higher points on the cheek and just making sure that we can really see that glow on Kelly's skin, because that is something that she asked for with the makeup application. I'm using the Got To Be spiking glue to finish off the brow. This just really holds the brow hairs in place, and when you brush them up, it just makes them look a little bit thicker and fuller without having to fill them in. You do have to be careful with this. If you apply too much, you can just brush it through with a disposable mascara wand that doesn't have any product on it, and the brows will have a nice natural finish. And then taking the nude sticks all over Face Glow in Illuminati and applying this under the brow, again, just to pick up that glowy finish that's on the skin. Finishing the eye with a taupe shadow from Marc Jacobs. I'm using this palette again just because I love this specific taupe color. I've used it a lot in my makeup applications. It gives some definition to the eye, but it's not a color that is too overpowering. And then I'm going in with the MAC 221 detail brush just to make sure that amber color really pops on the outer corner of the eye and on the lower lash line. It's something that I want to make sure that Kelly can see because it is a color that she requested. I'm using Maybelline Great Lash Mascara on the lower lash line. I choose to use this mascara because it's more fluid and I don't like a chunky lower lash. It just bothers me. So I use the Great Lash instead of the Voluminous here. Kelly mentioned that one of her favorite MAC lipsticks is Velvet Teddy. I happen to have it in my kit. It looks very similar to her natural lip color. I wanted to do a nude lip, so I mixed it up with some Elizabeth Arden 8-Hour Cream because her lips were a bit dry. Threw that on, and just ensuring that these lashes do look seamless. It's the last step after the glue has dried. I take my fan brush and I press in the L'Oreal Carbon Black mascara right into that lash line to ensure there's no gaps, just as an insurance policy to make sure that false lash looks seamless. Last step is to just make sure these highlights pop on Kelly's skin. That gold color was really important to her, so I'm going back over with a damp MAC brush and pressing that pigment from the Viseart eyeshadow palette onto the top of the lid and onto the inner corner of her eye. You can use these shimmery shadows damp. They have a really beautiful finish. This is a MAC 242, so it's a flatter brush, and it allows me to just press that shadow right onto the lid, and you can see how much gold is picking up. This is, I think, one of the best parts of the video. I get to use the Lemonhead Space Paste. I'm using Dirty Penny, which is like a coppery color. If you remember, I used the Nude Sticks pencil in dark brown right along the lash line. I use this as the backdrop for the glitter so that the glitter would really pop along the lash line and show up behind the false lash. So I'm taking a synthetic brush. You can use any brush that you want. You can use something that's angled. You can just use a regular liner brush if you want to. And I'm dragging the Space Paste just along the lash line. This stuff is very easy to work with. You don't have to go overkill with it because the glitter is so condensed in this gel that they have that it's very easy to apply, and you can just press that into the lash line. I decided to apply the glitter right along the lash line. It's just a subtle touch. It's something that's more wearable. If she was going out, it wouldn't be too over the top. And the Lemonhead glitter, once it dries, it definitely will stay where it needs to stay. There's not going to be glitter all over her face, which is nice as well. So this glitter is just going to show up as a hint. It's going to pick up the light and you're going to see some of it behind the lash, and I think Kelly is going to love it. You can clean up any stray pieces of glitter with a Q-tip and you just kind of flick it off the skin and it's easily removed. Oh my gosh, wow. It's so glittery. Look at your glitter face. Ooh, it's okay.
Ooh.
It's been dropped.
Oh my god, Angie! It's beautiful.
It's beautiful glitter.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's amber, it's gold.
And my brows are exactly how I do them, like super natural.
Yes, a little feathered action. Anything you want to add?
And my skin is extremely dewy, which is awesome to see because I don't really do this.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Feeling my...
Here is the final look. I think Kelly was really happy with it. I had such a fun time working with her. I had a great time doing this makeup application. Let's take a look at Kelly's before and after. I think she looks great. I absolutely love that I got to use the Lemonhead Space Paste. I'm a big fan of it, as I mentioned. I think it was the perfect touch for her. Kelly kept mentioning glitter, and I think I did it in a way that is something that is wearable. It shows up nicely behind the lash. I wanted to use a lash because this is a look that I think calls for it. We could have gone without the false lashes, but I think using one of the lashes from the Velour Effortless collection was a good choice. Just add some density to the lash line, fills out the look a little bit, and is something that's not taking over her entire face. And you can see that the MAC Face and Body does photograph very naturally. It looks great on camera. It looks just like natural skin. Once you figure out how to use it after you've played with it a bit, you can get a really nice, beautiful finish. And then using highlighters that were not too oily looking, that will remain on the client's skin, is something that's important to remember as well. A lot of cream highlighters don't dry to a powder finish, so they can be challenging to use. And then I like to keep the lips nude, but again, it's really what your client wants. You have to listen to what their requests are, so that when you do your makeup application, they are really happy with the outcome and they feel comfortable wearing the makeup look that you've created for them. I think Kelly and I had great chemistry. I think she was very open in this case to, you know, the types of products that we could use on her. I made sure to show her exactly what I was using, and we kind of went back and forth, and she was really happy with the look and I was really happy with it as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks everyone.